sanctuary of my sweet cousin Lori at her home and estate in North Carolina. At the time of this recording, it is Friday, April 5th, 2024. So, I don't know about you guys, but if you guys are standing on the upright and ethical side of the partition, the railroad tracks, I'm telling you, I am like so super psyched about it because, you know, we're talking about this being a biblical prophecy of the day and age, you know, where, Satan is getting separated from the wheat and the chaff to be chunked over there into the lake of fire. However that comes about, it's left to conjecture. But the prophecies I'm talking about are the events leading up to it. And the events, as I see it, is this satanic sacrifice circuit that's run by the Covenants, the treason part of the government factions that passed out them smallpox blankets to the maniacs on the Oregon Trail of Tears. They're still there, just got more dope, and now they've been integrated into every vein of America. If you have a private paved road or a public paved road, the fact that you have a paved road, that faction is alive and well in your little county or huge ass city, whichever the case may be. So, I mean, so much so that even if there was a side road that somebody may have forgotten, 10 to 1, your satanic flying flunky monkeys have been rooted there. And then so this is, as I see it, Satan's grand plan to tempt everybody, because you have to be mindful that whenever the enemy comes to tempt somebody, it's never in their full grotesque of ways. It is, it looks good. They bring a most delicious red apple to tempt you with, whatever your weaknesses are. So if you partake in all of that by indulging your ego, by indulging the almighty dollar as your God, and that God is the almighty dollar, you partook of that rotten fruit. Now you're zombies of becoming a flying monkey in the satanic sacrifice circuit, of participating the throwing of the tomatoes by lynch mobbing your targeted individuals. You all sell tomatoes to each other in the form of gossip, lies, and slander that none of you care whether or not it is of any virtue. You guys just need to feed something to your own diabolical brains to justify your own internal hate for somebody. These are all hate crimes, people. And then so whenever you participate in the hate crimes, you're participating in the sacrifice circuit of all these covens. I mean, if you know you're a coven, well, more power to you. At least you're not in the blind. But for all of you loving Christians who take pride in being a Christian, there's nowhere in the Bible that says approach somebody within the framework of deceit for the Most High. He's not about to deceive people. So whatever flying flunky monkey psychosis you feed yourself to make yourselves, feel better about coming sideways at somebody, at the end of the day, it is a mortal sin. At the end of the day, it is murder. You all are participating in murder through the psyop assignments of the hate crimes that you go get your little grub down in your little flying flunky monkey paws, and then they tell you what to do so you can snivel and grovel for all of that blood coin. Never mind how bloody slough off the blood. Never mind the cesspool that this slander circuit enables, that this psyop circuit enables, that this hate crime circuit enables in this Auschwitz 2.0, now that you're indoctrinated as honorary Nazis by becoming Team Judas and having no more empathy to run the psyop game. You guys have no salvation that participates in it. You all are walking around as whitewashed tombs of Pharisees that are nothing more than charred Krispies on the inside. And God forbid for people who had basically led their own tribe astray by teaching their kids the prejudice, by teaching the children bigotry, by teaching the children how to hoe out their own integrities, and then by teaching the children never to be accountable for your own discernment, just go ahead and believe whatever X, Y, and Z says, and if it's wearing a suit, it must be upright, right? So, well, which brings us to this day and age, which is these are biblical times. You know, because this PSYOP, hate crime syndicate, you know, that, fucking bigots, fucking KKK, well, I mean, more power to you, KKK. You know, you do you, boo-boo. I'm not thwarting you. I'm thwarting the people that feel they're upright, that feel they have ethics. Because these are the ones that need to shake it up and come home and snap out of it. So you do you, you know, because the Bible says, you know, choose life. It's an open book test. It even tells you the answer. I set before you life and death. Choose life. You know, if you don't want to, well, you know, more power to you. I respect your fool-ass decisions, no matter how psychotic they are, because if you're compromising your ethics and pretending to be ethical, you are presenting as a psycho. Duplicit of mine. So everybody who's, this is the grand plan of the poopah, to become the number one poopah throughout the world by becoming the number one leading factor, by initiating covens to be the norm, by initiating the framework for open gladiator style sports in the public. You know, it's like, as I see it, you know, they're going to start executing people right out in public and be like, go ahead, tell on me. Who you going to tell? Which is pretty much where we are right now. As evidenced by all of the targeted individuals. Me, for instance. I've been going public here for what, 4 years now? And then nobody has stepped up to the plate to be like, yo, little flower here. You know, she's had her character assassinated by her toxic female in-laws, by Barbara Christine Lyles Regali, by Paul Douglas Regali, her ex-husband, and then, which is Timothy Paul Regali's mother and father, and then his sister Monica Regali, and her baby daddy Brian Rice, not to mention their honorary toxic FEMA of the family member of the year, Marcella Maria Landon Comiskey, who's been my biological sister, not to mention her husband, Liam Comiskey, had been a handler by being a honeypot that was sent to her life to marry her for whatever compensation of his moral integrity, if there was ever one. And because the main goal for him was to cause and create dissension between me and my sister by feeding in to the fans of jealousy, by feeding into the fans of envy. Bitch, you were the liar right out of the gate, Liam. So, again, as long as you have a presenting roof over your head, Marcella's chained to you unless she decides to leave you. So you have no right to call cuckoo on her or crazy because you were the psycho out of the whole gang. Does Jono know? You can deny it to anybody, but between you and the Most High, who are you going to deny it to? So, you do you. But nonetheless, America. And this is not just in America. This is global and nationwide, not international. So it's not just America. It's the earth. And then so this is how Satan, demonic influences, intend on deceiving humans. So whenever he gets called into the lake of fire, he's taking all you fool-ass bitches that had decided to partake of bribes on anybody. If you partook of a bribe against anybody, especially me, since I'm the hero of my own story over here, especially me, oh boy, did you ever step in it. Coming sideways at the 144K of the chosen ones, we're all divine clickbait. The moment that you had decided to partake of the temptation, you gave up ownership to the right of your soul. Because now your salvation is compromised. And if you happen to get your avatar kicked out from underneath you, you get sucked right into the lowest vibratory frequency of dominions throughout the entire Earth, throughout the entire continent of where you are, throughout the entire galaxy and cosmos. There's no land of milk and honey for you right now as long as you're in it. So even though you may have been unaware of the greater scheme, of the greater agenda, you're still part of it. You are part of the working and moving parts. Therefore, you are guilty as having the full sentience, full cognizance of what was going on. And then so that is the grand scheme. So biblical times. And you know why I'm so excited about it is that, to expand the interest of these biblical times, we're looking at the lunar eclipse, we're looking at the solar eclipse, and then we're looking at Mercury retrograde, how it, coincides with each other. I have no fucking idea. But the fact that I do know that it's of magnificence, I'm all like, come on, because all things that are hidden are being exposed. So while this treason circuit has been having a great run for probably about 25, 30 years in play, all that now, domino effect. It's being kicked out from underneath them, and everybody who's been participating is now getting shanghaied out to dry in a public forum. Because whatsoever is unleashed on earth is unleashed in heaven. Whatsoever is unleashed in heaven is unleashed in earth. As it is within, so it is without. As it is above, so it is below. So everything hitting is now getting exposed. Yes, that gets my blood pumping. And then if you find yourself on the wrong side of the tracks, you don't have to stay there, but it's of your choice if you decide to stay there. But only the truth shall begin to set you free. So if you decide that you realize, oh shit, I already stepped in it, you're going to have to make your public confessions, videotape them, upload them to the platforms of the internet, and then make signed written affidavits and notarize them, and then send them registered mail. So that way you have a paper trail to all of the appropriate authorities, and then go speak to the appropriate authorities and bring copies of that in hand and submit them. So, it's kind of like on the caveat sidebar of this paper trail. I've always been the underdog, and it used to just really break my heart whenever I would hear about students. For instance, back in Cyprus Independent School District, there was a story of a 14-year-old boy that made the news, who was gay and who had been terrorized by his schoolmates, horrifically bullied. I know what it is like to be bullied horrifically, because when I was in the 5th grade going to school with evidence of, very glaring hair loss, I was tormented. And a lot of you Highlanders were there for it. Whatever, I got stronger for it. But the fact is that you saw it. Most of y'all didn't do a goddamn thing. Whatever. We were young. I'm better for it. There's some things that I wish I could have turned around and fixed, but it is what it is. I ended up learning from it. So, but when it comes to people who are bullied in the workplace, or if it's a child of yours in the academic system, about this young man, it broke my heart. When I say it broke my heart, it broke my heart. Because I know what it's like to be bullied, and to add salt to injury, the parents, who did go to the school district, it was like a kick in their teeth whenever the school district was like skirting the issue. We can't do anything if we don't know anything about it. And the parents are like, bitch, how could you? I went to talk to you. And then here the record skips a beat, staying in place, with the screeching that, what can we do if we didn't know about it? What can we do if we didn't know about it? What can we do if we didn't know anything about it? And the parents are like, I told you. Uh-oh. So now we come into a loop. So with addressing this loop, this is what I suggest. When I say document document that. Whenever I had, taken my stab at getting through nursing, didn't work out, but I learned while I was there, and the ideology was courts would be more prone to believe a person who had kept journals of something, because liars typically don't want to commit anything to paper. I mean, I've asked Barbara Christine Lyles Regali to write down her grievances with me, and that way we could communicate on paper without getting, into yelling matches. And she was like, nah. And then the letter I wrote her, she put her own shit frame around it and said, look what she said, look what she said. And what I said was purely rational. I still have a copy of that bitch. Yes, I do. So whenever. But my point being is that you have to make your own paper trail. Make your, document it, journal it. Make your signed written affidavits of confessions or observations. Notarize that. And whenever dealing with the appropriate authorities, send them ahead of you via registered mail. So it's like whenever there's two parts, research it, but there's two parts to a registered or certified letter. Number one is like an ID number, okay? And this ID number will go on this card, this green card, if it's registered. So whenever the mailman brings it to the person, they have to sign for it. So when they sign for it, you get that card back in the mail, and then that ID number is pasted on the green card and pasted on the envelope of of what you put your letter into. So now that ID part, take that ID number and put it on the letter body of the letter that you had sent. So that way, as how you tie something together for a legal paper trail. So whenever you send that registered letter, make it registered and certified, whatever it takes. One of two things will happen. They will either deny it, which makes them look bad. And then what they do sign it, now you have a paper trail that said, hey, I talked to you. I communicated with you my grievance. And then when you go to talk to the proper authorities, make sure you have copies of that. Go ahead and hand deliver it to them. And then you can give them the kindly heads up if you want that, hey, I am also sending this by registered mail. Or whatever, or don't say something to it. But now what you have is legal tender. What you have is legal documentation of a paper trail that says, I said this, I did that. And so now when it came to the parents of this 14-year-old who was being bullied to death, if the parents had known, I'm sure they would have done it. Now, so if you're a parent dealing with the academic system, I would send registered letters of documenting the incident and under scrutiny, sending it to everybody involved. If it was a bus driver that had seen it, if it was a teacher that had known it, and then even send it to like the superintendent, send it to the principal. And if you have to, send it to the bus barn. That same letter. That's how you leave the paper trail. So by the time you get your requested meeting with the counselor at hand, with the principal at hand, whoever at hand, they can no longer say, well, we didn't know, so how do we do anything about it? Now, everybody in a sandbox is expected to do things upright. And if you want to record the conversation, in Texas, only one person needs to know. Look it up in your state. And then if somebody asks me, hey, are you recording this? I'm like, yes, I am. Here it is. And then, they can either ask for it to be turned off, which would make them look really bad, or they might say, hey, can we have a copy of it? Give them a copy of it. Or they might say, I'd like that recording device in the middle of the table while we talk. Then do that. But your registered letter is your paper trail. You have to make your own paper trail. So if you, in your position, if you happen to be a whistleblower of sorts, so to speak, that's why you go public with it, because it's a lot harder to snuff you out. Your targeted individuals have more eyes on them than it does on a flying flunky monkey. You know, because, you know, it's like, oh, gang stalking doesn't exist. And if gang stalking don't exist, bitch, you gang stalkers don't exist either. So if you are realizing your soul and salvation is compromised and you woken up, I'll be like, yay for you. You made it. You're going to skirt that line of being dragged into the lowest vibratory frequency throughout the entire cosmos when your avatar kicks out. You know, and moreover than that, these are the legacies that you are sewing into your DNA, the genetic disposition in real time for what you leave behind. That is your legacy. That is your heirloom for your children. Talk about that another time. Put a pin in it. So that's why it's very important to have your registered letters whenever you go talk to these authorities. Because now they're going to have a lot harder of a time, you know, placating you. But if everybody did their due diligence and did their part to report all of the sacrifice circuit business, to report all of the Auschwitz 2.0 business, to report all of the treason, to report all of the character assassination, devaluing of people, the bullying of people. If everybody did their part to report the wrongdoings as they had seen it, all of the hate crimes, to report that organized criminal ring, because that is a cesspool that enables the sex trafficking, that is a cesspool that enables the child molestation, that is the cesspool that enables children trafficking. God damn it already. Wake up, people. What the fuck is the matter with everybody? If everybody did that all at once, it turns the table so hard and so pure that, you know, they're going to start snuffing out everybody who has made their video confessions of their observations online. You're going to be so much safer. So, you know, but somebody's going to have to start to blaze the trail. So when you do that, you blaze the trail for others to come up behind you, to make it more easier, to make it more palatable, to give somebody the courage and the grace and the strength to rise up and do what is correct. Because we're the grasshoppers being, you know, kept dumbed down by the Matrix agents, people. So this is why I say it is, you know, biblical prophecy of our day and age has already come and arrived. We are in the throes of it, as evidenced by this treason circuit, the slandering circuit, the organized crime circuit that is of Nazi of origin. Dr. Mengele is the godfather, and everybody enacting in it. You're Dr. Mengele prodigy. Should look that up. That should be a household awareness, household knowledge. And if it's not, get on do your own research, bandwagon up your own research, and make that the forefront of your knowledge base, because it matters. We are in this day and age, my loves. So that is how the opposition is tempting everybody to separate themselves from their souls by throwing money at you. And if you have been weak and groveling towards it because it was a low-lying fruit, you've been duped right out of your soul, honey. Get on track, my loves. Now, for everybody that's participated in it and ran their sideways psyop at me, I know. I don't hate you. I love you through it. But don't expect me, knowing I have been coming out here for the past 4 years, going on 5, because I've been horrifically gang stalked, targeted with all these crimes against humanity, all these organized hate crimes of this criminal ring, organized hate crime psyop assignments by the flying flunky monkeys of hate crimes. And you decide to join them by drinking the goddamn Kool-Aid and getting your own goddamn psyop assignment to come sideways at me? honey, I love you, but that's the end of me and you. And if you happen to be struggling, you sure as fuck didn't care about me struggling in my life to the point you just decided to give in to the goddamn blood coin. Now, I separate myself from all of those people that do that. And if you get mad at me for gray rocking you, well, that's an issue between you, yourself, and the Most High. I've already extracted myself out of that equation because I'm in the business of healing. Healing myself, sharing out with others my secret sauce. I'm in the business of manifesting. And whenever somebody comes sideways at me, now you've become a liability. And I'm going to cut ties off. I'm going to cut you off and hobble you at the knees for my energy because I want to keep my energy, my juicy energy so pure that I can manifest. And then I can get the fuck out of Karmicville. Okay, all of the energetic components of the collective collaborative components of the universe that are supposed to be an upright position of moral aptitude working on my case. Where are you, my loves? I'm still doing the pee-pee dance for you to come get me and bring me the justice. Bring me my inheritance already, please. What you do for me, you do for yourself. What you don't do for me, you end up doing to yourself. So don't make it a hazard one because the chosen ones are 144K of walking karma. Now, if you're a part of the 144K and you decided to run and root with Big Bread, what the fuck is the matter with you? You lose all of your giftings. I mean, I might end up with them because if you came sideways at me and it was either like this run sideways game or link up with the earth angel, get my hands grub the easy low-lying fruit and betray, or help save the earth angel by going public with all of the information I know. Well, when you chose that one, you extracted me right out of your life. I'm looking at you, Scotty. Oh, and by which I allege you have been working with Dick Tracy #1. And probably, you Tim Regaling, Barbara Regaling. I'm still, on the limb on that one. But either way, you have betrayed me. And what was the time frame of what? 3 months to railroad me into the ground to get me to get thrown in jail so you guys can make me a sex slave by playing my fool ass. I've known Timothy Paul Regali et al. That you guys have been trying to get me railroaded into, becoming a sex slave. By having me sexually trafficked. You guys have already sexually trafficked me through motherfucking Big Bread. Through the illegal surveillance company made possible by InfraGard and Citizen Corps spearheaded by FEMA. Barbara Regali's FEMA Boothang. All of your covens. I've known you guys have been trying to railroad me that way and have already committed bear false witness saying that I had been a prostitute, saying that I had been a drug addict by saying all of the unsavory things of being a crackhead, a meth addict, and whatever else that you guys have said that I've already been part of the sex industry online and whatnot. Let me tell you something. If you have bear false witness against me, you may end up on the ventilating machine because every person that's spoken hate against me with all of the hot air. Isn't it just funny and poetic justice to end up in a goddamn ventilating machine ran by your own colleagues of the covens that may be parading as respiratory therapists, pulmonologists, that are working bed bread? How do you know you're not going to end up having to be cared for by the very colleagues that you hobnob with? Because whenever you're at death's door and you have to depend on an unethical healthcare provider, because there are a lot of you have been running off the ethical ones with integrity, how are you going to know who's who when it's just you in the goddamn room and your healthcare provider? I've seen you nurses run your game on me. I don't even have to lift a finger to have you all exposed. The paper trails will do it. You have to write medical records on me. And if you think that HIPAA is alive and well, not so much. A lot of that's become a dog and pony show as I see it, and I can explain another time, but not today. My opinions, allegedly. So everything I say in any one of my videos are my allegations. Whether or not they're true, well, time will tell, time will expose it, but I have no issues speaking from an upright and ethical plateau in my life because, you know, that's just what I'm about. But that's why it is really important to leave a paper trail for yourself. So everybody who had been, you know, taken in by the con of the Grand Poobah by participating in, you know, all of the bribes, fuck you for everybody who's taking a bribe on my ass. Instead of taking bribes on my ass, you should have been trying to help liberate me into a sense of independency. And if you didn't, well, you lost your claim to fame. Now you got your claim to shame. So you did it to yourselves. And I mark my words. Even if the ethical people of the world don't want to rise up and do an ethical and moral aptitude shakedown, when the Most High has to do it, where you had accountability, to say that you're going to regret it doesn't even begin to cover it. But nonetheless, this talk had been about the biblical prophecies of this day and age, with tempting humans to separate themselves, you know, by getting people to take into temptation through bribes and whatever nice fancy things, because people have decided God is their money and money is their God of money, money, money. Money, show me the shakedown and I'll grovel and suck whatever dick you want. That's what you say whenever you participate in all of the hobnobbing of all of the criminal crime rings, of the criminal hate crimes, of the criminal hate crime psyop assignments that teach you how to lynch mob each other nice and diligently to get your juicy blood coin. Slough off the blood to get your juicy coin that enables the sodomization of 8-year-olds. Slough off the bone marrow and just go spend it. You know, because if you end up spending that, and you know you will, food, how you know you're not going to choke on it? If you end up buying cars with it, how you know it's not just a death trap waiting to salvage the rest of your bones, never mind the salvation, because now you're a charred crispy, but then the balancing forces of the energetic earth is to come in and level up your ass. And if you end up taking vacations with it, how are you going to know that you're not going to end up in a freak earthquake and get swallowed into the caverns of dirt forever and ever? And if you go to stay somewhere to where it's always cold, on the detriment, on the blood of somebody else's, that you decided to take the vacation of the century, you end up taking the vacation of the century by getting swallowed in an avalanche. Because the balancing forces are not going to allow all of the targeted individuals to have all of their detriments go on unchecked. That's what this year 2024 is about, the law of karma. And that's why I'm so excited to know that the day of reckoning is upon us all in the biblical age of prophecy, as evidenced by all of this Nazi-ass business that's going on in the streets, with about 1/3 of the populace participating in as its own militia. I'll talk about that militia and what it looks like another time, but suffice enough to say for now, think about 1/3 of the populace, participating in it. And just because somebody befriends you, you don't know if they're befriending you to fuck you out of your own carcass. Not to mention your energy harvest, if you got juicy energy. So we gotta stop and take that into consideration. And this is why whenever you make your publicized the confessions or observations, upload them to the YouTube and on the other platforms of the internet, you preserve your safety, because it's a lot harder to snuff you out when you're saying, oh my God, I have to be a whistleblower even though I don't want it. But if something happens to me, now you know where to look and who's responsible for it. And then whenever you make your signed written affidavits, you have to notarize that says, this is what I believe wholeheartedly. And then submit that registered mail with identification numbers on the body of the letter, and that's posted on the envelope and on that little green card. And so now you have a paper trail to all of the people that you go to interface with, so they can't say, how can we fix the problem if we didn't know there was one? Especially if you're dealing with the academic system. I had to do that. But that's how you maintain the upper hand of being upright, by committing your accounts, your observations to legal record. At any rate, it's been Patricia Landon Regali coming at you from the privacy, the safety, and the sanctuary of my sweet cousin Lori and her state here